Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's that time again, folks. Time for the world famous motion picture Retribution Power Hour, presented to you by the illustrious Evening Brothers. Take it away, band. Welcome to the Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour. That's right. I'm not starting with a goof. I'm not starting with a fucking spoof, baby. This is an episode that I can sense. We've talked even for like 2 minutes, this group. The Evening Brothers, I am Brother John, have talked for like 2 minutes, and I feel so good about how this one's going to go.
I am Brother Lincoln, and I agree. I think this is going to be our most solemn, our most focused, but also our most productive episode yet. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes. We're going to cook the meat with the potatoes. The potatoes are going to get soaked in those beautiful juices. They're going to get fried up, and then we're going to eat, and we will leave no crumbs.
I am Brother Preston, and I am so fucking excited to review this absolute humdinger of a movie that has been selected for us to watch.
Lincoln, holy shit, that energy needs to be here the whole episode, just so you know. So I made you guys. So this is Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour, presented by the Evening Brothers. This is the show on the internet, the only one of them. I fucked up, gang. I fucked it all up. This is the only show on the internet
hosted by 3 straight white guys.
Yeah.
Ever.
Oh, just end of sentence, end of thought. Yep, good.
Not even the only one about movies. We're claiming further. We're taking further ground away. We're colonizing, if you will, the vast territories of the unexplored internet. As is our God-given right.
Well, this is the only podcast on the internet, though. I don't know if you guys knew that. So I made you boys watch a little motion picture called R.I.P.D 2: Rise of the Damned.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with R.I.P.D. the Rest in Peace Department, our movie from last week.
No.
This is
this is a whole different,
confused.
An entirely different Rest in Peace Department. We watched Rest in Peace Department R.I.P.D. This time we watched R.I.P.D. Rest in Peace Department 2: Rise of the Damned.
Rise of the Damned.
And guys, I feel like that is an important distinction to be made, because this movie, R.I.P.D. 2: Rise of the Damned, makes R.I.P.D. the Rest in Peace Department look like an Oscar-worthy, Martin Scorsese's directed, just the best movie you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It does.
We ripped into R.I.P.D. Rest in Peace Department pretty hard. We criticized its writing and its editing and its visual effects quite a bit, but nothing could have prepared me for the depths to which R.I.P.D. Rest in Peace Department 2: Rise of the Damned has sunk. Starting off with just the basic look of the movie. It is so much worse looking. It's like the classic Netflix shoot in a dark room to avoid budget. And there's a difference between lighting your scene correctly and darkening the background so that you don't have to draw or CGI or dress the set in the back. This movie doesn't do that. It literally just doesn't light the scenes themselves.
No, it's just like you pretend you know. It's an audiobook now. It's a radio drama for half the movie.
For Rest in Peace 2: Rise of the Damned.
In the middle of the movie,
Rest in
I had
Peace
to
Department
turn off
2: The Rise of the Damned.
every light in my house. And I moved my head physically closer to the screen, and I could not see the scene any better.
Preston had to shut down the power to his entire district just to see this movie.
He had to wait till it wasn't a full moon anymore in order for it to be dim enough so that he could make out the details, and he still couldn't.
And I still couldn't.
So I had not seen this movie. This is not a film I had seen. This is a movie I had heard of, and having seen the first one before, I was like, I think I'm okay. I had no concept of what level this was going to be, and it was so much worse than I thought it was going to be.
Honestly, it makes me miss fucking Dinotopia. Dinotopia
Me too,
had better production value than this movie. This movie was shot on an A7S3 for that they borrowed from one of their friends, and they shot it on a gimbal.
This is one of those movies pretty early on that you would hear like, can you believe they shoot like real movies on an iPhone? And you'd be like, yeah, no, I believe that was shot.
That movie was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing that I didn't really like anticipate is called R.I.P.D. 2, Rise of the Damned. So that would suggest to you it's the sequel to R.I.P.D.
But the fact that it's called Rise of the
R.I.P.D.
Damned makes you feel a little suspicious, because you're like, wait, didn't they already rise in the first movie? So are they going to re-rise again?
Yeah, the Damned went on ahead and rose themselves a little bit in the first one. So why it should be the re-rise of the Damned? Well, joke's on you, shitheads and idiots. It's a prequel about Roycephus Pulsifer in his heyday. Big Daddy Roycephus, which is he's regularly referred to as Daddy in this movie, and we'll get into all that.
Get right in, yeah.
It's a prequel about the character that the only reason you liked him in the first one was because it was Jeff Bridges. Had nothing to do with the writing or even delivery, quite honestly.
And that's the first aspect that I feel like we judged Jeff Bridges' incomprehensible accent and his just wild energy that it seemed like he was getting no notes, taking no second takes the whole time. But
yeah,
after having been exposed to that, seeing a man probably 35 years his younger giving the most half-ass, low energy, like just nothing burger performance, like literally the way that I'm talking now is more emotive and more energy than he gave summed up in the entire movie.
Significantly.
If he could not be bothered. Like I wanted to pause the movie and like give him notes. I want to give him like just take it one more time, dude. Like please, like pretend.
What's funny is that's the guy from Burn Notice, which is granted not like a spectacular show, but he's pretty okay in Burn Notice.
After watching the movie, I checked his IMDb page. I was like, he's a real actor. He has real roles.
He's a human man who's been in other things before this coming out in 2022, year of our Lord.
Yeah.
And he brought nothing to it. Like,
absolutely
what happened?
Nothing to the table whatsoever. And you think, maybe I was giving the movie a little bit of grace at the beginning and thinking, okay, Roycephus being the most boring, reserved, pastel beige man you've ever seen in your life. Maybe throughout the movie he's going to get crazier and crazier, and it's like, okay, then it makes sense that 200 years later he would be the level that he is by rest in peace, R.I.P.D, rest in peace department, the first one.
Yeah.
But by the end of the movie, he's even more boring than he started.
Yeah, he's the worst. Like, I actually think I will go out on a limb and say he is the worst protagonist we have seen in a movie for this podcast. He is the least interesting protagonist we have gotten.
He brings nothing. It's not even bad. It's just nothing.
It's not bad, which is interesting. It's not good, which is interesting. It's like he came on to the set and handed him the script and he was reading it for the first time, and not in the Jeff Bridges way of he was writing it for the first time, just being like, all right, what do you want me to say? This is like he's reading it to himself in a bathtub going, what have I done to get into this position that this is what I have to do?
It's like they caught him practicing his lines and he'd go, okay, I'm ready to shoot the first take, and they're like, no, we got it, we're good.
We got it in one. So this movie opens. We got to get into it. This movie opens with a pervert mining his way to hell, and that's the most interesting thing right up until the end of the movie. As far as I'm concerned,
because you got the miner, and the miner is digging with a pickaxe directly into the ground, and he goes,
right.
I just know that there's gold in these here.
Yeah, like
this here dirt.
He's a Scooby-Doo villain.
Directly underneath. I don't know how mines work. I'm pretty sure you don't just stand in the middle of a pit mine, of an empty shaft mine, and dig straight down. I feel like there's shafts intentionally so that you go into the mountain. And then
Jack Black's The Minecraft taught me anything, then you dig down.
The Minecraft.
Mr. Dr. Minecraft himself, if he taught me anything, then you dig right down.
Black taught me anything.
That guy gets possessed after a classic what in tarnation, which I wanted that. When this started, I went, because I already had Lincoln, you had watched it before me, you had sent us a couple of notes about how bad it was. And when it started, I was like, I don't know. It seems goofy, a little westerny. I don't think this is going to be a problem. The problem is it never is that again. It forgets that it was that for a second, and then it just is a different thing, a much more boring, like The Matrix before anything happens in The Matrix thing. It's just like an office job of movies.
There are precisely 2 moments when this is a fun Western. And both of those are boring establishing shots where you get a nice hawk's cry. You get two of those moments, and in those two moments, it's like, oh, maybe this is a fun Western. And then it just goes to it goes to shit.
It's those two, and then right at the tail end, it becomes Blade Trinity for the good parts of Blade Trinity. And you go, all right, sure, man. I guess that works. After we leave the pervert who got possessed, we meet Daddy and the newlyweds. So the word daddy is, again, this came out 2022. That was a word that we didn't use it anymore, right? We decided, we all kind of got together, and we decided no more of that. I thought. I could have sworn.
Non-virgins had completely claimed daddy for themselves. Leaving.
Daddy was for the fucks, the ones who do it. Yeah,
yeah.
Daddy was
for
Daddy
participators.
Was for the Daddy's for doers is sort of what I.
Yeah, remember hashtag Daddy's for doers on Twitter? It was like a whole movement.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure there was NATO 2, and it just you flip through the pages and all of it just said Daddy's for doers. So
Daddy is for doers.
I'm not sure, but we meet Daddy and the newlyweds. Also, there aren't a lot of scenes where they interact with each other, but somehow this podcast seems to be accidentally finding its way into sexual tension between family members' movies. I'm not sure how we do it. I don't know what the thought process is here, but Roycephus Pulsifer and his daughter, who I assume was given a name, they have the weirdest interactions.
They really do. Every interaction is like the writers of each of those scenes not only have never had any children of themselves, but have never met any children or any women for that matter.
And don't have any parents. Yeah, it's just like the amount of times that it's brought up that the husband has to like fill in for the dad is gross and weird and bad and not good.
And the weirdest thing is you think, well, this movie takes place in the 1800s, so this old cowboy sheriff man might have some backward views about, marriage and children, whatever. But they go out of their way to explain that Roycephus Pulsifer, Civil War participant and county sheriff, is not racist. They go so far out of their way to show that he's not racist. He knows about racism and he knows it's bad. But they don't go out of their way to be like, maybe he can have a slightly more modern relationship with his daughter where he treats her like a fucking human being.
Yeah, no, that never happens. And you're so right. This is a movie that puts the work in to let you know that this guy who is 100% should be a racist and a sexist is definitely not a racist.
And you have Roycephus from the first movie. Also, there's times where we watch sequels or remakes and we limit our comparisons. I'm saying we do
this
not.
Is not one of those.
No, this is not one of those.
No holds barred.
Because they had the fucking gall to call this R.I.P.D 2, as if to say, you remember that movie? This is connected in some way. It's not, though.
It's not. They have in R.I.P.D 1, they have Jeff Bridges. He has learned his lesson. He's post-learning his lesson, and it is very clear to the viewer that it took a long time for him to not be sexist, and what it took was him embodying the image of a woman in the world for literal centuries. And this one, he embodies the image of a woman, and he's like, oh, not racist anymore. Sweet.
Yeah, he's like, oh, cool. I'm black. That's great. And I'm a woman. Even better. My wife always said I got to get in touch with my feminine side.
Also, what a
thing that is always said to cowboys. Who doesn't think that of cowboys?
Yeah, cowboys got to get in touch with their feminine side. That's what's missing.
That's the main criticism I have for cowboys.
Yeah, not feminine enough. So the fact in the first Rest in Peace department, I feel like this needs explanation. Is they have disguises that basically put them in the body and shape of another person so that they're not recognized when they're on Earth. And in the first Rest in Peace department, Jeff Bridges' alter ego on Earth is a beautiful woman, and it comes in handy in the plot, and it is a running joke, and it's called back to enough times that it feels like it was worth the joke.
Yeah.
It could have been done much more cleverly. In this one, him and his partner, who I am going to not talk about yet because that's another...
Oh, yeah, we can't yet. Oh.
him and his partner are both black women who, I will say, are the most entertaining part of the movie when they're on screen.
They are.
Without question, 100%.
Best,
yeah, they're great.
You actually get
best on-screen
dialogue
presence.
delivery that isn't somebody like the most boring math teacher you ever had reading out of a phone book.
No, this is like a cool math teacher.
I would rather watch a movie about them. They should have been the R.I.P.D. It should have been a different story. Completely separate.
And it could have been, they every time it's them on screen instead of the souls of them or whatever, it feels the movie takes this like slight leap up where you have a little bit of onstage presence and a little bit of energy and a little bit of vibe and fun. But alas,
any sort of effort being put into this.
It kind of feels like in a spy movie when the spy's been captured and they're just like shoving his head underwater and they just pull him out just enough so that he can get some air and then they shove him right back in. That's what those little moments feel like.
It's like, ooh, competent actors. No, never. Not again.
No, back to Dr. Burn Notice. All right, so they're at the train station. We meet daughter and her fiance, who they're going to get married in like 7 days, a week or so. The Samuels attack, which is a gang of, wouldn't you believe it, bad guys who do bad guy stuff.
Okay, yes, I'm tracking.
Yeah, you might have heard of these guys, bad guys. This is them.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. And so Roy shoots a bunch of them, and they get back up, and you're like, oh wow, how is that possible? Except the problem is we've seen the first one, so we know how we get it. We got it. A thing that the movie chooses to ignore because it will later explain all of that in just gruesome detail. Really frustrating. Because like, okay, here's my thing. I understand that like if you're putting on an MCU project, right? If you're gonna watch like the Marvels, that might be your first MCU thing. So there's a chance you're hopping in and it's like, let's go see this superhero movie everybody's talking about. You got to prepare yourself for the idea that that's going to be somebody's first and explain some stuff. Who the fuck is watching R.I.P.D. 2 Rise of the Damned having not even glanced at R.I.P.D.? Who's that for? Nobody. Like, this is a sequel, if there's ever been one, that can just go, you remember the first one? Great. We're going to do something else.
Yeah, who's just like, I need to see what Jeffrey Donovan's up to. I need to see what that guy from Bird Notice has been working on lately. Ooh, R.I.P.D. 2, $3.99 on Prime. Ooh, gotta get my hands on this one.
Oh baby. Oh, what? Beautiful.
This is so confusing. I wish someone was here to explain it all in no uncertain terms.
It's like they built this movie for people who wanted to see the first one, liked the idea of it, and have like a Ryan Reynolds phobia. So they're like, well, you can't obviously see that.
It's like you watched the first one and then you realized it was just like Men in Black, and then you watch Men in Black and then they used the forget device on you and you forgot everything about R.I.P.D, but you remembered that you liked it.
It's called a neuralizer and you know that. It's called a neuralizer.
I was searching. I couldn't remember it. Thank you so much for correcting me, John.
So anyway, the Samuels attack, Roy gets shot in his head, and you think, okay, cool. I kind of know where this is going because the first one made a whole point about how he saw his corpse being desecrated, and it was like a whole problem for him. A point of contention in my mind for this movie because we do not see his skull getting fucked by a coyote, and I'm legitimately sad about that.
They retconned everything. I was so mad.
Not that we wanted to see that, but they make such a big fucking deal about it in the first movie that you think that would be a big deal for him in the second movie.
Yeah.
And no, instead they see a whole thing about his daughter and she's getting married and all this other bullshit.
It's so dumb. It should have just been him.
So
okay.
Dumb.
We're already in the stage of pitching better versions of the movie. The first and obvious solution is like actually make it a Western. This movie's not a Western. It's a made-for-TV Hallmark movie.
It would be so cheap to make it a Western.
Westerns are not expensive movies to make. You just have to not move the camera. You have to mount the camera wider. You have to shoot wider. That's all you have to do to make it look more like a Western.
And they literally already had the Western costumes and sets, and they had everything to make it a Western.
Color grade your goddamn footage, and it's a Western. That's
Hold on. They had Western Party City costumes. They didn't have like Western costumes.
I mean, yeah, but they could have made it 5% more of a Western, and it would have been maybe 7% better as a movie.
The return on interest on making it more Western would be ridiculous. Like even a little bit more Western, and you're like, okay, cool, this is a movie. I got you. At least try.
Like for example, I'm gonna make a comparison here to Cowboys and Aliens, which is a fucking fantastic film.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're wrong. You're both wrong. It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Aliens is so bad.
It's a great movie, and you're both wrong. It's a great movie, and you're both wrong.
This is
not a touchstone.
You can't just
John,
you
cannot
can't
start an
drop
argument
that kind of shit.
for like just like Cowboys and Aliens.
No, hey.
You can't be like, oh, it's just like the seminal classic Cowboys versus Aliens.
I am
or whatever
totally
the
gonna
fuck
make
it's
you guys
called.
watch that in the
Finest
future because
picture.
it's so good.
Oh my God, that's such a horrible movie. I watched that movie when I was 8, and I went, Mommy, can I not watch this movie? Is that possible?
And more than that, Preston, it is such a good example of a movie that's not as Western as it could be. It's
Right,
like,
but that's what I'm saying is they could have done.
Okay.
They could have made this slightly more Western, a la Cowboys and Aliens, and it would have been slightly better.
President, I would have even granted you a what's the one where he goes to Mars? John something.
John Carter?
I would have granted you a John Carter because John Carter's more of a Western. I would have granted
That's
you
true.
Firefly. I would have.
You know what else is more of a Western? Mean Girls is more of a Western than Cowboys and Aliens. And I'm talking about the musical one from this year.
I'm not
shit-ass
disagreeing
movie.
that Cowboys. It's not as Western as it could be, but it's a great
Nothing's
movie
as Western as it could be.
that takes an absolutely ridiculous plot. Like this movie is an absolutely ridiculous plot. They could have made it slightly more Western, and it would have been way better.
Do you guys get the sense that this movie heard our podcast on the last movie and was like offended that we thought it should be sillier and more fun and was like, no, we're going to make it more boring and
We're gonna
grounded.
make it less silly. We're gonna make it more realistic. We're going to okay. John, we need to. He goes to the rest in peace department. He gets hired.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
He goes.
Yeah,
It's just a
there's-
room. It's not anything. It's not a cool CGI space. It's just a room.
It's a big long hallway. He hears that he's a part of the R.I.P.D. He does a spit shake to agree to be a part of the R.I.P.D. and then he gets his like insignia burned onto him. And I one quick note that I have here is just okay, now Mr. Burn Notice, pretend like you're pretending like you're hurt because
Wait, can I do
the worst.
a live reenactment of the
Please.
amount of pain that he feels? So pretend,
I would
imagine,
love that.
dear listener, in your mind's eye, a metaphysical brand, a red hot brand, has just seared a, 6-inch diameter logo into my flesh. It's probably a 1/4 inch of like depth into burning away my skin. This is Dr. Burn Notice's reaction to this happening to him.
Lincoln, can I take a crack at it because I actually think that was too much.
Oh, sorry, too emotive. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So my flesh is burning. You can see it. It's sizzling.
Yeah.
And I go.
Preston, you want to?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Yeah, you wanna take a crack?
Because both of you are wrong. All right. I am getting a brand on my chest. I can smell the flesh burning. It hurts so bad.
And the award goes to Preston for sure.
Yes,
So
I agree.
he decides to be a part of the R.I.P.D. It's clear that he wants to go avenge his death and save his daughter, wife, and
His brood wife,
Ooh, don't
his
like
child
that.
bride. And this
his child dash bride.
his child bride. And so he goes back down. He's I don't know. He gets this horrible costume change that really is like the cheapest costume I've ever seen in my life. It sucks
Not just
so
in a movie,
bad.
just the cheapest costume I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I've been to Comic-Cons, local Comic-Cons. Okay. We are introduced to his partner, Jane, is what we're going to call her, because that's kind of what we're introduced somewhere between Jane and John, which is kind of that's what we're introduced to her as, and that's what we're going to call her for now. We're going to treat that reveal of who that may or may not be with the same reverence as the movie treats it.
Reverence is a good word. Also, I just want to get that, Jonathan and Preston, I called it. It's in my notes. As soon as she made her appearance, I was like, oh, it's her.
Here's the thing, though. Don't be too proud, because it's also in my notes, and I would be willing to put money if Preston took notes on these movies or cared about this podcast even slightly. It would be in his too.
Yeah, I guess it is pretty clear, given that she's got a French accent and that she's a fervent Christian.
I mean, an Australian French accent, and
it's a very Australian. It's a
and she's got a sword, and she's afraid of fire. Don't worry about it. It could be anybody. Who knows? All right, where are we at? He visits his daughter, but Joan stops him for the worst fist fight I've ever seen in my life. And this is the first time we gotta get introduced to, like, how is action gonna look in this movie? Because they have this moment where they do a little fight.
It's not gonna look. It's gonna cut. We're gonna cut away.
We're gonna pretend like we shot a fight scene. We're gonna have them sort of look at each other all weird, and then just random insert shots of birds and shit.
You know how most movies, it's like, do a punch, and then we're going to cut to the impact. They're like, this movie, they go, do a punch, right before the punch lands, we're going to cut away, then we're going to cut back. Both of you are going to be on opposite sides of the room now, assuming that some action has taken place. Your brain, don't worry, the audience's brain will fill in the details.
And I don't know if this is my fault, because I watched the trailer for Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff that's coming out. Looks pretty sick. I watched the trailer for that like right before I watched this movie, but there is a moment where they have that fist fight, and Roy looks down at his hands, and John goes, "Yeah, it's a lot faster than you remember, isn't it?" And you're supposed to feel like, "Oh wow, these guys are so fucking powerful." Except it was the slowest fight scene I've ever seen ever.
It was like watching a Zumba class. Right,
yeah,
left, knee, hips, and kick.
Yeah, it's like watching an elderly person do Tai Chi. Like that's what we get. In a pool Tai Chi. All right, so they visit his grave for way too long. It's this really, really long scene for absolutely no reason, where we meet the kind of alter egos of both of these characters, the wonderful black women that are the only good part of this movie up to this point. Man, some stuff happens. There's a caravan of some people. I think maybe
they invade
Angus, they invade it. This is where we see our first full Deado, which, I don't know, again, a thing that the movie must have heard our podcast, because it was like, you liked that they had like interesting, unique, fun designs. What if they just looked like as my wife put it, dusty Venom?
Dusty Venom. That's such a, I saw the Venom comparison too. Also, I cannot get over how Jin says the word Deado. Every single time she said it, my ears perked up, because she said it the wrong way. I don't know what the right way to say it is, but she said it the wrong way every single time.
Yeah, she 100% did.
Every I think my notes just have notes, Deado, notes, Deado, notes, Deado, notes,
you know
Deado.
What I think it is that's where the Australian comes through the absolute most for that accent, because she'll be like, "Oh, we got to go see the Deado," and you have to be like, "Okay, wait, that doesn't seem right."
Wait a second.
I do appreciate.
You're not really from France, are you?
I do appreciate in this movie that when Roycephus first hears about the Deados, he has the same reaction that we as the audience hear when they call them Deados for the first time. He's like, "So they're called Deados?" In his horrible, horrible accent. And I appreciate...
Preston, again, that was too much energy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You just
again, yeah, we got
the Deados.
If we're giving notes.
Oh,
yeah,
was that
that's
monotone
correct.
enough, or was that still too much?
Yeah.
I was so we're calling them Deados.
It's like he's reading the script for the first time doing the scene, and he's like, they're called Deados? He's like, yes, perfect.
Like, cut,
bring
we
that
got it.
energy to the screen. That's what we want right now.
Like, are you sure? You're 100%? Do you think it's possible that this is a movie that wanted to be Blade Trinity so bad, that they did have Jeffrey Donovan come on and they were like, "Here, you need to be 100% high every time we shoot." And he's like, why? For what reason? And they're like, "That's how we got the greatest movie ever made, Blade Trinity."
Blade Trinity with Ryan. That one had Ryan Reynolds in it. Wait, which Ryan Reynolds movie are we making a remake of? Hold on.
Wait, hold on. All right, so okay, so they find a guy. I'm not sure who the guy is. Honestly, I think he's part of the caravan. Who tells them about Otis Claiborne, a Deado that's the final boss, presumably. Then we meet Otis Claiborne, and he's like basically the devil. We'll get to that, what exactly he is later, but it's clear that he's demonic and he wants to make the gateway stronger. He wants to bring hell on earth. He wants the rise of the damned. It's whatever.
Okay.
Who cares?
And to imagine Otis, I want to paint a picture. So
please.
imagine 60s era Bob Dylan, his kind of iconoclastic, folk rock punk phase. Now take away his drugs away from him, and leave him in an empty room for about 40 years to rot and dry, and then take him out and put him in the sun for another 40 years. Then play him Sabrina Carpenter's entire discography and say this is the only music that's left. And the reaction face that you'll get is Otis's permanent expression and delivery for the rest of this movie.
He does kind of have a Bunker Boy energy that I hadn't put together until just then.
The world has failed him. The world has failed him as a man, and he has to just live in it at this point. Wow.
Yeah. So there's a really awkward scene later on. They keep a guy. I don't remember where they got this guy, but he's a guy. He's basically the human equivalent of Sid from the Ice Age, making his horrible, horrible jokes.
And bringing so much attention to it. This movie is ostensibly a comedy, but it is so horny for not making jokes, but for pointing out the fact that it had made a joke. They're so surprised.
Yeah,
the scriptwriters are writing it.
I'd be careful about calling this one a comedy because that does suggest it might be worth seeing on some level. Like
I said ostensibly. I was careful.
I think this is the first movie that we've watched that I actually, if somebody was like, I think I would really like this movie, should I watch it? I would say no. I don't think anyone should watch this ever, actually.
You could walk up to me and say that, hey, I really love a very specific genre of movie that is set in Western times with a dead police force policing the world for dead souls. Should I watch this movie? And I would say absolutely not.
I'd say no, you should watch Wild Wild West.
Imagine the personal hell of that being the only kind of movie you enjoy. This might be the first time I've ever kind of understood what Warner Brothers was doing when it canceled that Batgirl and Wile E. Coyote movie. Like, if it was anything like this, maybe, look, I'm not saying I agree, but maybe they made the right call. Like, I do think our world is worse off for this movie existing.
Hang on, John, are you saying that some movies just, some concepts just should not ever make it to a final movie?
What I'm suggesting to you, Preston, is if your first movie made less than no money and lost you a significant portion of money and it had a lot of famous people in it, maybe don't make like a 45 times worse movie and hope for the best. Like, that's what I'm suggesting.
But John, they waited like 7 years. Like, R.I.P.D. should have reached cult classic status by that point, where they could have tapped into that audience.
It had so much. R.I.P.D. had so much going for it. It had
so much goodwill.
Ryan Reynolds is starting to sweep Hollywood right now. Jeff Bridges is at the height of his power. Jeff Bridges in 2016 or 17 or whenever that movie came out, he could do no wrong, and yet, it had fucking Kevin Bacon in it. The movie had Kevin Bacon. And it failed because it's a bad idea for a movie, because it's already been done before, and the movie's called Men in Black, and it was much, much better, and they have not been able to make a good Men in Black movie since this first one either.
You know what's... Okay, here's the thing. You know what's fucked up, though? It's not a bad idea for a movie. It's a good idea for a movie. No, that's what I'm saying. A horror, action, comedy, drama around a police force for the afterlife is a really good idea for a movie. And you're right, like, it had everything going for it. What makes me mad is that they ruined everything and then didn't try to do any of the things that they had going for it. It just did the same movie, but worse and boring.
If R.I.P.D. Rest in Peace Department had a saving grace, it was the balls to the wall, hog wild, fuck it, we are going, fuck it, we ball energy the whole time. That was the only thing that was holding me on. The fact that Kevin Bacon is giving the most committed performance I've ever seen out of that man, and it's in such a terrible movie alone, that was enough to carry me through the end. This movie is the same or worse quality of writing with none of the energy.
Yeah.
And This movie was directed by a person who could have assumedly said, "Let's try that again. Give it a little more this time," and simply
put a little more juice in there.
Not to.
So anyway, I don't know. What's like the rest of this movie is kind of a blur for me. I think. There is a really awkward scene where John tells Roycephus that his wife definitely is not waiting for him in heaven and has moved on to some other dick, and which already has got some things that I'm like, from a biblical perspective, I've got some questions on that, but don't worry about it. Even past
Lots
that,
of
that's like a
implications,
fucked up
yes.
thing to say. Yeah,
To
and
another
like,
person, yeah.
and then she goes, "Nah, I'm just kidding," and you're like, oh, "What?"
It'd be like,
Like,
if
how
someone
is
said
that
their
a
dog
joke?
died.
And I
If
have
someone said their dog died, and you're like, "Oh, your dog's in hell then," and they're like, "What?"
Your dog's
And you
in
go,
hell.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
just joking.
And I have an issue
I'm
with
just
that
joshing
too,
your
because
shorts.
the first movie, they make it very clear that there is clearly a little bit of a thing between Roy and the Proctor character. And it's like,
Yes.
wait,
Yeah.
how are you making him have this
Not-
whole big
not-
speech about going to his wife, but then we already know that he had a thing with somebody else, and he's like...
It's not. Yeah, it's not a little bit of a thing. It's like it's a thing. They
Fully
fucked.
addressed
They did
by the
it.
text of the movie. Fully addressed.
They can both use the word daddy for sure.
Prince John, that was a good joke. That's
Thanks.
a really good joke.
Thank you. So they get
Yeah.
captured.
I'm with
they
you.
go to Cough Town. It's I don't know.
Cough
The rest of
Town,
the movie is just
USA.
like the rest of the movie, because I feel like we're losing ourselves here. The rest of the movie is they try to open hell. You know how these things go. Actually, I say it gets pretty interesting for this movie's standards in the third act. I think when hell starts opening up and a bunch of weird CGI freaks start coming out, sure, you got something. And then the bad guy Otis turns into the bad guy from Blade Trinity. Is the thing we
Yes.
all appreciated. He's got the Cape of Souls from Doctor Strange. It's fun. It's all right.
It's a look. It's a look.
Oh, also, and I am treating this with exactly the same reference. Oh, also, it's Joan of Arc. Everybody,
It's Joan of
she's
Arc.
just-
Whoa.
it's just been Joan of Arc. the
Whoa,
whole time.
guys. This
Crazy
this
twist.
fanatic French Christian fighter was Joan of Arc the whole time. Ooh.
Which I gotta wonder, because the concept for R.I.P.D. is you die, you go up to heaven, or you go up to the decision zone, and then you're either sent to heaven or hell,
That's
or
what the last
to the
segment of this
R.I.P.D.
podcast should be called.
The decision zone. You're sent to heaven or hell or the R.I.P.D. And
Yes.
the thought, at least by my understanding, the idea is if you're sent to the R.I.P.D., it's because you weren't great, you weren't terrible. It's a chance to redeem yourself.
Yes.
I don't fucking think Joan of Arc needs to redeem herself for Christianity. I don't think. I have a hard time seeing Jesus being like, her? I don't know. I'm not sure. She didn't really
She
put
needs
the
to
work
put a
in.
little more of the work in. You know, getting burned at the stake was not enough devotion to my cause. She needs to put 500 more years of effort into this.
Toss a
deal.
little elbow grease, would you? Please, come on, get it together. Let's put her in the R.I.P.D. for some reason.
You know, getting burned to death was not enough devotion from you. I need to watch you
just
throw a
doesn't
little
cut it.
vial of my tears into a hell pool before
I need you to toss my
my.
sweet, sweet tears.
The fact that they have Christ's tears, guys, I miss Constantine so much. I miss it so much. I'm like nostalgic. It's like a child remembering the previous Christmas in the middle of August. I'm remembering Constantine or remembering the movie's energy, and it's fun.
It was
it's well directed, and it's
It's
so cool to watch. And this movie's so bad.
Can I just, for my own personal gain, and I know you guys are going to have, the first feeling you're going to have is I don't want to go with him on this, but just look past that feeling for a second for me, okay? And see, would you say that it's true? Do you feel a little bit like, you know what, maybe Hellboy 2019, maybe it was pretty fun. Maybe it was a good old time.
After watching this movie, yes. After watching this movie,
Yes!
Dinotopia was pretty fun.
was pretty good. It was a pretty good time.
I feel like most of our movies I would watch over this one again.
I would watch every single movie in a row.
Would I watch a plane sexually assault a bigger plane for just to not watch this movie? I would. I would watch that.
I'd watch Stealth. I would watch a
movie
sequel
rocks.
to Stealth before I watch this movie.
I think about Stealth so much. Lincoln, can I get a little pull off the intro to our classic segment?
Oh. Find your funny, because maybe now this podcast will be good.
Hey, so this, I came up with a game, and I've got probably more than we need, so you guys just let me know when you think we found our funny.
Okay, great.
This is a game that I call Red Light, Green Light, which is I'm going to pitch you some movies or TV shows that I've come up with. Most of them are sequels to other things. And I need you to decide amongst yourselves, role play a little bit, being a studio executive. And you can choose, by the way, if you want to be, say, a David Zaslav who likes to make people sad and ruin all of their dreams. Or you can be, I don't know, like a Bob Iger and make some dreams that sort of exist. I don't know. None of them are good. Anyway, I need you to be kind of a shithead and decide whether or not you would greenlight this movie. So there will be a discussion portion after I read to you what I have on my pitch here.
Okay. Got it.
Does that sound good? Everybody in?
Yep.
All right. We're gonna start with an easy one that I call Strangest Things. So what is the Demogorgon doing when those pesky 80s kids aren't trying to hit him in the head with a baseball bat full of nails? This show has the bravery, the balls to explore the daily life of the Upside Down in a mockumentary style a la The Office.
I would totally watch it.
I would watch the shit
I would
out of
especially
it.
watch it if it takes place during the Stranger Things timeline and it's a different camera perspective on the events of the Stranger Things stories, like a Lion King 1.5 sort of situation. Green light, 100%.
Green light from Lincoln.
As long as I can see the Demogorgon do some evil things because Bob in accounting messed up the copier for the millionth time. Green light, 100%.
He gets super mad, so he steals a kid.
Yeah. I'm picturing a What We Do in the Shadows TV show kind of energy to this.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's see. Let me go through my list here. Sorry, most of these are gonna make me laugh while I'm doing them. Top Gun Maverick Origins. Witness the origins of hotshot fighter pilot Maverick. When he's sent to the Top Gun Naval Fighter Weapons School, his reckless attitude and cocky demeanor put him at odds with other pilots, especially the cool and collected Iceman.
Green light, 100%. The world needs it. We'll CGI DH Tom Cruise.
Good. I like that.
I have never heard such a unique movie that has definitely never been done before. So, green light, absolutely.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, its own special thing. You guys, we're gonna read through all of these because each and every one of them makes me laugh and feel good in my heart. So, buckle in. They're all my favorites. This is one of my favorites. I came up with this idea that I call Seinfeld Fights Back. So the idea is Jerry Seinfeld is tired of living in this woke cancel culture nonsense where comedy isn't allowed to be funny anymore. So he gets Joe Rogan and Bill Burr in his DeLorean and time travels back in time to the 80s. Throughout the show, Jerry grows to realize that he misses feeling taboo, misses the restraint of current culture, and realizes he's just another rip-off Seinfeld. Season 1 follows his discovery that, in fact, he had it pretty good and should learn... Yeah, there's 2 seasons. Season 1 follows his discovery that, in fact, he had it pretty good and should learn to be grateful for what he had. Season 2 sees him coming back to the present, but everything's changed based on his actions. Seinfeld was never a popular show because he redirected his lightning-in-a-bottle timing, and now he must fight to become the beloved comedian he once was. What do you think of Seinfeld Fights Back?
I feel like this is one where Season 2 actually sounds a lot more fun and interesting than Season 1.
That's my concern, for sure. I see that.
So could we cut Season 1 into a movie, have a limited theatrical release, and kind of backdoor Season 2 in?
Okay, I see what you're saying. No.
Because, then red light. I'm not going to pass it.
Oh, dang it.
I will green light potential for 3 movies, but will only green light the first 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, either way,
so y'all like
you got to
the third
repackage
movie.
it into a
We'll
movie.
green
No
light
matter
the
what.
first 2 movies. How's that?
So Preston's kind of on the Warner Brothers train.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
Yeah. I want to see what could have been very good, stretched out over time, crammed into way too short of an amount of time, with the possibility that you'll eventually get the time that you could have had, and then you'll have to find a whole other story to tell there.
Yeah, and on that note, I think Top Gun Maverick Origins should be stretched from hour 40 into a 6-hour limited release.
Oh, like a Paramount Plus show. I'm into that.
Yeah.
All right, I have 4 more. So we're getting there. Two of them are for Marvel. So put yourselves in Dr. Senior Iger's beautiful tiny shoes. The first one.
What do you know about
Echo.
his shoes?
I don't know. I bet they're small. The first one is Echo. This one's just the Marvel show Echo again because I think I might have been the only one that watched it.
We're just gonna re-release it to make sure people get a chance to catch it.
Thought maybe they might not have seen it, so we just do that again.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's a red light.
Can we mail DVDs? What's the consensus on mailing some DVDs to people so that they get a chance to watch it?
Here's the thing. As long as it's just like a cold mail, we don't tell them, they don't ask, we just send them a DVD copy of Echo.
Get it in the mail. I'm so on board with that.
Wait. I think I've read about that. It's called guerrilla marketing. It's in one of my business books. I've changed my mind. Green light 100%.
Do you guys have any idea, peeling back the curtain a little, do you have any idea how quickly a movie would get on our podcast if a stranger emailed it to me or mailed it to me in a DVD format?
If a stranger emailed a blank DVD to me, I would watch it, no questions asked.
All right, so this next one, I'm actually going to give you the concept of it, and then I'm going to give you the title. So we've got Wade Wilson is up to his old tricks, but this time he's real small. And so what I call that one is Deadpool and Wolverine and Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Winter Soldier. So...
As long as we add
could be cool.
Other classic characters like Homer Simpson and Walter White and Richard Stark, I think I'd be on board.
I think
we
I
need
can
more
do
brand
that.
recognition. Can we add Bumblebee?
Yeah.
What is the status vis-a-vis Bumblebee?
We can't add Bumblebee, but we can give you kind of a hint toward the G.I. Joe in an empty warehouse, like at the end of the last Transformers movie. Is that
where are we vis-a-vis Emmett from the Lego movie?
Yeah, he's in. Obviously, he's in. Oh, sorry, he's in all of these pitches. Did I not tell you that?
What about Luigi? Can Luigi get a hand on that ball?
Luigi is not in. However, Ouija, his weird dark cousin, is in.
Ouija? Are you talking about Waluigi?
No, I'm talking about Ouija, the one who can summon the dead. Yeah.
I really have my heart set on Luigi being in this project. I'm not sure if I can greenlight without his creative input.
Then I guess I'm going to really enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine and Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Winter Soldier and Luigi. That sounds like a plan. I don't know. I need it to be greenlit.
Okay, here's my plan. We get Optimus Prime. Luigi goes to executive producer. Then I'm in.
Okay. I think I can get Optimus Prime, but it's gonna have to be the '80s one.
Oh, that's what I was expecting.
Even better.
Can he be a puppet?
Yeah.
Can he be a felt puppet of Optimus Prime?
He can be a CGI recreation of a felt puppet. Yeah, I think I can make that happen.
Okay, I'm on board then. Yeah, as long as Luigi is some sort of creative input, I'm on board.
I think.
Oh, Luigi's right in it for sure.
I think we're close to like.
Wait, I'm back out.
I think we're,
you don't
we're
want to
really
hear it's
close
me, Deadpool.
to the genius here. I think we need one more franchise. I think we need at least one of the Muppets, and I think that movie will apply to just about anybody. Our demographic will be the world.
How are we feeling about Beaker?
That's exactly who I had in mind. You
yeah.
read my mind. Green. I will give you so many green lights if you can get Beaker on there.
Yeah.
Beaker's in. Just to balance it out, Beaker. Then we add one more. We add Heathrow from Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte.
Okay. I don't know if that one's going to really have the market reach that you're sort of hoping it will.
Trust me on this one.
Okay.
Trust me.
A lot of Wuthering Heights, a lot of Wuthering Heads out there.
Yeah. They call themselves Wutherers.
Well, Okay, so my next idea, I have
also,
3 more.
His name is Heathcliff. Sorry, and I don't think Emily Bronte wrote it. I think I got every
Wow,
detail
so-
wrong about that book.
Fucking none of that was correct.
Wait.
While
Emma-
Lincoln's googling that, I'm gonna give you my. I have 3 more. I lied to you. There was 1 extra one. It's my next one's called Chairman, which is just an action spy adventure through the eyes of the man in the chair. We do not leave his office. It is a 1-take film, but he eats a lot of Mountain Dew.
Can
And I
that be
do
like a
mean
picture-in-picture where we have his camera feed and his screen, and that's the whole movie is like his mouse moving around on the screen?
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
I actually,
So
okay, wait, hold on. If that was a tight hour 20 and it was really smartly directed and it had a lot of clever writing, I would watch that.
glad to hear it.
It's got a kind of phone booth, the net sort of energy.
Searching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Sort of vibe.
It's this limited concept, but I'm not even joking. I think that could be executed well. I think that could be fun.
I also agree with you. That also was my wife's contribution to this. So shout out Darcy. She's much smarter than I am. I wrote the whole Seinfeld bit.
Here's what I would like to see for that movie. I would like we have 1 camera, and it's a GoPro on the guy's forehead. So the whole time, all you see is the computer screen that you could almost make the actual screen that the audience is looking at, but not quite. And then it's just down at the keyboard and typing, and then back up at the screen and down at the keyboard and typing. That's what I'd like to see.
Kind of like that too.
Ooh,
I will greenlight it if
that's
you do that.
interesting. I think we can merge these ideas. So my next one is Love on a Leash, the TV show. So this is a retelling of an actual movie that, boys, is real and was determined by me to be too bad to make you watch for this podcast.
Oh no.
Wherein an extremely horny dog is granted by a magical lake the ability to turn into a human at night in order to find love. Real movie.
Okay, great.
Does exist, and I want to make it a television show. I actually don't want to hear your answers on that one just because I'm too connected to it. No, so Preston, that's what I was worried about. So
I know you said that you didn't want to hear, but no.
Right. Well, if it helps, the whole
Hey,
first
John,
season
nothing you
is
say is
actually
going to
going to
help.
be just
You
the
just
horny.
save your breath. Move on.
No, we'll
Move
see. We'll see if it does, though. So my thought was that the whole entire first season was going to be just horny dog, and then the cliffhanger at the end is that he finds the magical lake. So
Hey, John.
If we can get Jeff Goldblum to voice the dog, I'm on board.
I actually would watch that. So, all right, my last one. And this is the one that Preston almost ruined in our group chat. I've come up with Beetlejuice 2, the sequel to Beetlejuice. So that is Beetlejuice goes to Hawaii for a much-needed vacation, but through a series of comical events, must share a beachside bungalow with famed actor Michael Keaton.
Okay, I actually think that would be really funny. I need to recycle my joke that I told you and call it Three Beetlejuice. But
yeah, that's good. And that one, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I actually do want because there's a script for a sequel to Beetlejuice that is called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian that almost got made, and I really want this one to exist.
I don't think I'd make it, but I would watch it.
That's fair. I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's a lot more green lights than I thought we were gonna get from that bit. So that's exciting.
And I think we found her funny as well. Thank you.
I think we
John, that was really fun.
I'm so glad. What do you guys want to talk about?
I want to talk about how on the nose it is that they gave Joan of Arc a fear of fires. Like, canonically in the script, she has a fear of fire because she got burned at the stake.
Yes,
and there's one moment
that she overcomes very quickly.
Yeah, there's a moment where they cut to a flashback of her getting burned at the stake, and it's this tall shot. It's this really high up shot looking down at her, and I guess I've never seen a video recreation of it, but that is fucking terrifying. The idea of
horrifying.
Being on a pile of dry wood that's about to be set ablaze and the fire is building up around you, that is the scariest thing ever. And it all occurred to me at once of, wait, this whole movie needed to be about Joan of Arc overcoming her fears and traumas and learning how to bring goodness into the world. despite the pain that she's been through.
Especially if you're going to go all the way and make a shot that actually looks pretty good, all things
pretty
considered.
Scary and pretty effective.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend 2 seconds on that shot, how did that... So when I saw that shot, it totally reoriented me and thought, oh, she needs to be the protagonist. She's the one who accomplishes everything in the story anyways. Roycephus does jack shit the whole time.
Correct.
And then I thought, how did they not go through the same process of writing that scene in and thinking, we need to rework this so that she's the protagonist because that's going to be way more fun, and we'll throw in Roycephus at the end to make sure that it's connected. Because there's so many off-ramps this script could have taken into movies that would have been interesting, and I don't know. It's not like they didn't. They wrote it, and then they ignored it later.
Yeah. Well, you got to appreciate their commitment because they started this going, we got to do the Roycephus prequel. And you can tell about halfway through when they put in Joan of Arc, you can tell that they were like, that's not interesting, though, is the problem.
Roycephus is not going to sustain this whole movie because he didn't sustain his first movie, and he was played by Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, and he barely worked in that. Like, it was touch and go.
Yeah, we had to bring Kevin Bacon in to bring some heat to complete this movie.
I also, just a quick thought, the idea of a PD doesn't really make sense in, like, Joan of Arc times to me. Like,
No,
I'm not entirely
all.
sure. It actually doesn't even make sense necessarily in, like, Roycephus times. Like, the idea of a something PD is not really, like, old. It's a pretty new idea, all things considered, in the grand scheme of history. New. So just like, I guess I'm wondering, like, when Jesus came down and when he died, did he, like, pass the R.I.P.D, and did that mean anything in Bible times? Like, was he like, hey guys, good to see you again, you're doing great, I'll see you later, probably. I don't know.
You're right. Like, when R.I.P.D existed in Jesus' time, if he saw an R.I.P.D guy, would they almost shoot him and then go, wait, no, you're good, you're fine.
Oh, no, you're an alivo, you're okay.
That's what they call them, alivos.
Yeah, I mean, what else would they call them in the fiction of this universe?
Do you think when Jesus resurrected Lazarus, as he was walking out of Lazarus's house, he passed by a couple R.I.P.D guys and he goes, oh, no, wait, no, Lazarus is fine, you're good.
No, guys,
that was me.
This one's cool.
That was me.
This one's cool. It's all good.
That wasn't it. That was me. That's on me, guys. I'm on charge. We're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. That one's on the J, man. There's other ones, though. Definitely keep up the good work. But that one he's good. Yeah, don't worry about it. I wept. If you want to just hold on to that, I put those tears in a little bottle for you. That'll come into play later. Bottle.
Go put it in a French church. What's France? Oh, sorry. France is gonna kick ass in a little while. Just
France,
wait a
you're
second.
not gonna believe it. France. Oh boy. Oh my dad. You are not gonna believe how cool France is gonna be. It is something else.
Just wait, dude. There's this thing called the Renaissance. Oh, don't worry about that. That's also going to kick ass. That's actually going to happen right around here, but not for a while. You got to wait.
Yeah, not for a long time. You guys aren't going to believe. I mean, you're not going to be here, but you're not going to believe iPads. Holy shit. It's crazy stuff.
So cool. Anyways, don't worry about Lazarus. Bye.
Yeah, anyway, Lazarus is cool. Anyway, yeah, like when he died and like went to hell for a little bit, did he also visit the R.I.P.D? Was there also a time where he popped in there and was like, hey guys, don't worry about it. I know that it's going to seem like a big deal and you should send a bunch of agents, but when this guy, Otis, is going to try to open hell, just send two. Just send your newest and oldest agent and we should be okay. Give him this bottle. Let him know.
You know what's more confusing to me? The idea of God sending a memo to the Rest in Peace department and going, guys, just so you know, I'm sending my son. He's on Earth now. He is gonna get executed by humans. I don't want you guys to do anything about it.
It's gonna be a pretty tough go when he's about 33-ish. It's gonna suck. However, don't do anything. And then other thing. He is going to show up again. Definitely don't
do anything then.
Big
do
J.
not shoot him. He is not a dead
In fact, if you see this guy, turn around. Don't look at him.
Just keep walking.
Just keep on walking.
I'm imagining that there's like an older R.I.P.D. agent and then a new guy walking around, and the new R.I.P. agent's like, oh, hey, what about that guy? That guy's a deado. And then older guy's like, no. Don't you know who that is? We don't mess with that guy.
Definitely don't do that.
Yeah.
And then the like...
Every other deado's fair game, but not him.
Keen-eared listeners might think, wait a second, in R.I.P.D. Rest in Peace Department, the first one, they're very ambiguous about what religion this is. They just call them the Eternals or whatever. But no, R.I.P.D. 2 is very, very clear that this is the Judeo-Christian God who is doing all of this good work on Earth.
It is strongly in favor of Jesus Christ. That is, which, hey, power to the movie. I respect that they're willing to just be like, that's the one. That's the real one.
But the first one is a little ambiguous. This kind of talk we're having would be inappropriate and maybe a little sacrilegious. R.I.P.D. 2, this is all the implications of the universe that they have very clearly established.
They open the floodgate. That's a good point, Lincoln. If any of our grandmothers and or pastors and or friends listen to this show, I'm not talking about Jesus Christ, the real Jesus Christ. I'm talking about R.I.P.D. 2's Jesus Christ that it did exist in the fiction.
Because I don't believe that the Rest in Peace Department is real.
No, yeah, and that's important for us to say because we got some flack on the last episode, all those people emailing in and saying like, oh, but the thing you guys miss is that it's fiction. So that's important to say for all of our listeners and fans. We don't actually believe in the R.I.P.D. I do believe in the power of Jeff Bridges, but that's like a different sort of thing.
The power of Jeff Bridges compels you to watch The Big Lebowski one more time.
Look, it does and did, and I will again, is the thing.
The power of Jeff Bridges compels you. Reconsider Tron Legacy. Give it another
Maybe it's
shot.
okay this time.
Guys, Jeff Bridges, we already have a sacred text. Jeff Bridges' website.
We do.
Yes,
yeah,
we
you
do.
just got to print that bad boy out on a JPEG. It's perfect.
We got ourselves a religion.
Oh, man. They also invented gas masks way before they existed, but who cares?
Who cares? The movie ends. They beat the bad guys.
Yeah.
It's still boring.
Movie's over. Yeah, I'm looking through my notes here to see if there's literally anything else I wanted to talk about real quick before we wrap up.
No, we have avoided this lull so well. Let's just roll right through.
I don't think so, yeah. Just power through. So cinematic equivalent, this is the cinematic equivalent of getting movie theater popcorn, but you forgot that it was the unsalted, and also you left it for like a month and a half in a basement, and then you eat it, and you go, that seems like it could have been popcorn.
This is the cinematic equivalent of like scraping your arm really bad, and then you tear the scab off, and it hurts even worse the second time.
Oh, yeah, because you think it's done for sure. Wow, got it in 2. That's crazy.
This is the cinematic equivalent of when you're trying to sharpen a pencil in an old-timey crank-powered pencil sharpener, and every time you sharp it sharp enough, the lead just breaks off and you have to sharpen it again.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is the cinematic equivalent of making a piece of art and waking up the next morning and being like, man, I think that was really good, and you walk out and it is not good. You were wrong.
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of feeling your bike tire get a little bit soft, so you pump it up, and then you walk out the next morning, and it's totally flat.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is the cinematic equivalent to when you have to chisel something away, but you don't have a chisel, so you grab a flathead screwdriver, and you're just kind of hacking at it, and that doesn't really work, so you grab a knife, and the project keeps getting more dangerous, and you're like, if only I had the tools for the job. But something in you is like, I could do it with the tools I have. I know I can. And then you end up cutting a big gash in your palm because you held the tool wrong.
I think this is the cinematic equivalent of all of that, and then you look to your left about 2 centimeters, and there's all the tools you ever could have possibly needed.
Yeah. This is cinematic equivalent to a pair of cheap Apple earbuds where one of the ears doesn't work and only blares static, but it's all you have, and so you're going to listen to it no matter what.
Wow.
This is cinematic equivalent of leaning in to kiss someone and they bare their teeth at you and you have to kiss them right on the teeth.
Right on the pearly whites. That's a good one.
This is cinematic equivalent to the process of printing a document.
This is the cinematic equivalent of somebody coming through a portal and being like, hey, I'm from the future. And you go, is it cool? And they go, absolutely not. But it's also
And
not
they
bad enough
disappear.
to worry about. And then they disappear.
This is the cinematic equivalent of two of the dumbest people you know just saying, oh, yeah, totally to each other for 2.5 straight hours.
Yeah, after one of them was like, birds are kind of like Earth.
And then it's like, I never thought about it like that.
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of when you're writing somebody a really nice card, but your pen doesn't quite work, so you start scribbling on a random piece of paper, and it just barely starts to work and gives you hope, and you go back to writing your card, and then it doesn't work, and then it just ends up ruining your card.
This is the cinematic equivalent of trying to play a CD on a record player. Or alternately, of trying to play a record on a CD player.
Yeah. One of those is definitely it. We did a great job.
Oh, yeah, we got it.
Who's Bad News Bears this week? Is it Lincoln?
It's me.
Yeah.
And we have descended into the depths a little bit, and I want to give not a respite, because this movie's still not great. It's pretty bad. But you know me, I'm all about the 2000s greasy films. And so this week you're going to watch, finally, I've been holding on to this one for so long. You're going to watch Underworld with Kate Beckinsale.
Okay, all right. Cool. I haven't seen this one. I'm excited. Do we have homework?
You do not have homework because
cool.
After this experience that we had to go through, I really just, this is a bad movie. We're going to have things to say about it. There's a lot to unpack in this movie, but I just want you to watch it. I just want you to love it and enjoy it as much as I do.
Okay. Cool. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I'm usually really excited about giving you weird homework, but I couldn't think of anything to give you for homework. So
yeah, you are usually pro homework. Well, that is beautiful, Lincoln. I can't wait for that. We don't have any emails, so thank you so much for listening to the Motion Picture Retribution Power Hour, brought to you by the illustrious Evening Brothers. If you want to reach us, it's mprphpodcast@gmail.com. Please reach us, rate the show, send the show to people you love and or hate. And that's pretty much all I got for you guys. So that would make me Brother John. And just as we live by the rules of Dinotopia, so must we be prepared to die.
Sacred words. I have been Brother Lincoln. I could crash you from here.
And I have been Brother Preston, relax body.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys remember that time that Preston said that Cowboys and Aliens was good?
I'm trying to forget.